Will democracy survive the next couple of years?
Essentially, we are the same.
There are so many needs that Minnesota has.
What people are saying they need right now.
Access to Democracy is made possible in part by a donation from Firefly Credit Union. Firefly is the new name of U.S. Federal Credit Union, which has proudly served the financial needs of the greater Twin Cities community since 1925. At Firefly, we guide our members forward and give them the power to chase dreams by delivering the financial solutions they need to get ahead. From checking accounts to mortgages, we'll light the way. We are Firefly Credit Union, and this is life illuminated. By Thomson Reuters, providing legal professionals with intelligence, technology, and human expertise they need to find trusted answers. Thomson Reuters, the answer company. Online at thomsonreuters.com. And Dr. Charles Crutchfield of award-winning Crutchfield Dermatology in Eagan. Acknowledged as one of the nation's best physicians, a Minnesota native who trained at the Mayo Clinic, Dr. Crutchfield personally treats all patients and states that experience counts and quality matters. Crutchfield Dermatology, look good, feel great, with beautiful skin.
Welcome. Access to Democracy returns, and we have an interesting combination. We have a first-time guest representing a long-time really organization that's been with us for many years. Welcome, Francine Corcoran, who is on the board of directors of Theater in the Round, and it's nice to have you with us.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here.
We've had board members a couple of times, we've had directors, we've had actors, and we're really happy to have you because we love to be able to help TRP kick off the coming season, which is what we do. And we will get into that. But how long have you been associated with them?
Well, I started as a volunteer in the Nixon administration in 1973, and I volunteered.
You were only about 9 years old.
I was just a child at the time. It was sort of, I was just learning how to read, and I was sort of on and off for a long time, and then starting in 1995 or thereabouts, I was invited to be a board member, and I've been on the board ever since, which just goes to show you that. Volunteering, as you know, can be a lifelong commitment.
It can, and it makes things worthwhile for a lot of people. Now, Theater in the Round is about to start its 68th season.
Yes.
It's the oldest legitimate theater in Minneapolis.
Yes, depending on what you think of as legitimate, It's a community theater, but we do, shows legitimately.
And Sharon and I have been members there a long time. But I always say it's the best, really, dollar venue in theater, the most for the buck.
Oh, without question. And for some number of years. We have 9 productions each year, and you can acquire a season ticket for $135, which, no matter how you look at it, is really quite good. Nothing else is that inexpensive.
In today's world, it's sensational.
Yeah. Right, and then that gets you into 9 shows, or you and 9 people can come to this show, or however you like to break it up. Yeah, it's the best.
In addition to that, you have certain different ticket segments or packages. For instance, Flex Pass, which means you don't have to go and sit in the same seat on the same night. And that's really very good for people who have busy lives.
Right. Yeah. People are forever trading, and we, we're all over that. We understand that, you just don't know what you're going to be doing that third Saturday, or something. So we plan accordingly. And there is a season ticket for those reserved seats for people who do like to come on the third Saturday and they like to sit in the second row in the third section. Thank you very much. So we're only too happy to accommodate folks who enjoy that sort of routine in their theater going experience. And we like it. We like people to come no matter what.
Now, I just heard someone who had seen what is the last production of this season which is Jeeves,
Jeeves.
saying it was absolutely uproarious.
Well, it's only because it is, you know. It's absolutely delightful. There's a lot of physical comedy, and the actors playing Jeeves and Worcester are hilarious and absolutely true to form. The costumes are lovely. The set is beautiful. I mean, it's what you would expect from P.G. Woodhouse and Jeeves and Worcester, for everything to be neat and tidy and fun.
Now, the actors in theater and around are not paid.
That's right.
These are people, even though they are professionals, and even though they have careers, they do this 4 weeks per show.
Plus rehearsals, plus tech. Yes, so yes. Well, to say, you know, we are an amateur / community theater. Professional theaters usually are described as theaters that pay, you know, everybody something or another, and that has not been our practice. So everyone that you would see when you go to see a show at Theater in the Round, including the house manager, the board member, and, you know, the light crew operators and all the people on stage, we are volunteers, everyone.
Now, before each show starts, a member of the board comes out into the center of the arena, and let's greet the audience.
Well, you know, this is sort of a stand and deliver. When I do this speech, and I've been doing this for, you know, over 20 years, the first 10 years I went out there, my hands were damp when I came off stage. And I carry with me a script that tells me what to say. We get a little sort of cheat sheet in our mailboxes in the back office, and that tells us, you know, tell them, remember about this, and remember to sell season tickets, and remember, you know, don't have anybody up and down this aisle because that's where the runners are, you know, that sort of thing. So I have to have that in my hand, but I will do the best I can without a net. So I, you know, leap out into the middle of the stage, look for the light, because if you're an actress and you can't find the light, you don't know what you're doing. So I look for the light, and then you have to do your speech while you're sort of looking around at all the sections. And I start out by saying, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Francine Corcoran. Welcome to Theater in the Round. You are here at the production of Jeeves Takes a Bow, and we are in our 68th season. And this is our 559th main stage production. So then we'll wait for the applause. You know, yes.
Right.
And then I ask the audience at large, for whom among you is this your first time here? And there's lots of hands that go up, you know, and this is, thank you very much. Now you know where we are. We look forward to seeing you all next season. And then for whom have you been coming here 20 years or more? And then there's a whole bunch more people who raise up their hands, because there always are. And I say, well, yes, so there you are. So yeah, and, you know, I'm in the second category as well. So I just suggest that people meet each other, and then everybody gets a season ticket, and then you can have, you know, you can see each other through the next, you know, 68 next 68 seasons, you know. So
Hopefully.
yeah, and then I tell about, you know, please don't hang anything over the modesty panels in front of the stage, and please watch your step on the platform over there, and, you know, and if it's opening night, there's a little, you know, tea and crumpets in the back lobby, and, you know, cordially invited to that. And then sometimes there's a talk that's after the show, you know, company conversation, so that all gets introduced as part of the opening speech.
And an intermission, don't touch anything.
Right, you know, this is a crime scene, you know, which is so, you know, which we have with Agatha Christie. It's a crime scene, you know, so you want to walk around with your hands in your pockets just like any other criminal would do.
And the most important thing that you say.
Oh, you know, I say, if you have cell phones and things like that, this is 1923. There were no cell phones, you know. If you are the person whose phone goes off in the middle of the show, everybody in the theater will watch you turn it off. And you don't want that to be you now, do you? No, you don't. So, and then I say that I've been volunteering since the Nixon administration. If people have any questions about the Nixon administration, or, you know, Theater in the Round, you know, I can make up something, as people so often do, and, you know, we can talk about it during the intermission. So that I just sort of get the heck off stage, you know.
Sort of to lighten things up and get ready for the production.
Well, yeah, you know, it sort of doesn't matter what the show is either. You know, I mean, it'll work just every bit as well for the Birds as it will for Comedy of Errors or Jeeves. You know, it's all one. You know.
And now you started out not as a board of directors member. You started out doing what?
I started out doing props. I do not appear on stage without a script. I can't remember 10 words in a row, so there'd be no point in me, pretending to be an actress. So that's why I go out on stage with my script in my hand when I have to talk in front of people. But I started doing props because it's all behind the scenes work, and that's where I'm most comfortable. And I have sort of a special talent for props, especially during the run of the show, because I can see where something should be and it isn't there. So everybody's got a little something.
Now, Theater in the Round is in downtown Minneapolis.
It's on the West Bank, so it's on Cedar.
Cedar,
And
245, is it?
245. It used to be Seven Corners, but they've taken out a couple of the corners since they called it Seven Corners. So I don't know how many corners there are now. So
We still call it Seven Corners,
Yeah.
even though there's only
yeah,
five.
there's like hardly any. But that's all right. All of us old people know where it is anyway. And we've been in that building, actually. The former Bimbo's, bar and grill and possibly massage parlor used to own or be in that building, and we bought it we moved in 1969, and we've been paying it off ever since, of course. Well, we now own the building, so we're pretty happy about that. We've paid it off in this last year, so all the problems are, well, they always have been ours, but they are still ours,
And we don't encounter a lot of problems, though, but we do get some really good theater and some enjoyment. Now, you're not a 7-night-a-week or a 6-night-a-week theater. You're basically a weekend theater.
Yes.
And
Yes. Well, and it is because we have volunteers who are in the shows and who are designers for various aspects of productions. And you can't reasonably expect volunteers to turn up, 5 days a week for rehearsal. People have jobs, and they want to make enough money during the day to support their habit of doing shows over the weekends.
And that's why Mary, Avi, and John are here every other Friday, and hopefully will continue for many moons, because otherwise there would be no access to democracy.
Well, yes, we mustn't have that.
No. And Raven, who's not with us here today, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have an upcoming 68th season.
Yes.
And let's talk about some of the productions that are coming up. We'll try to do them chronologically. And the first one is going to be certainly something that's well known, which is, and I don't for the life of me understand how you're going to be able to do it in Theater in the Round, which is The Birds, which was a Hitchcock movie, among other things.
Yes.
And there we have the photo of the birds up there. So tell us a little bit about The Birds.
Well, I'm happy to report that I have not been invited to any of the rehearsals, but I do know a little something about how The Birds are going to be done, in fact. But unfortunately, of course, I wouldn't dream of telling you how that's going to happen. It's one of the secrets of the theater.
Well, if you tell us, they're going to have to kill you. So.
I know. We don't want that.
So that's September.
Yes.
Upcoming. Mm-hmm. And following The Birds, we have a Shakespearean
Comedy of Errors.
Comedy of Errors.
Yes.
And now a lot of Shakespeare is done today, modernized, and a lot of it is done in the original Old English. That pretty much, I guess, is director's choice or something like that.
Well, it depends on also if there's an adaptation of the play. Then it would not necessarily be the director's choice of how that's done. But I mean, mostly for Shakespeare, you can kind of do whatever you want. Except we, of course, we all prefer to honor the text as as best we can. In this instance, it's going to be a beach party. So in the '60s, so it's not going to be Elizabethan clothes with broadswords and things like that. So.
But it'll be the Comedy of Errors.
Oh yes.
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 As the Bard wrote it.
Yes. Yep. As the Bard wrote it, and then as it is pretty much routinely edited down some. So.
And that's the October to beginning of November show.
Yep.
And I don't know if we mentioned the shows run for 4 weeks, basically.
Yes.
Most of them, anyway.
Yeah, and every now and then we have a show that runs for 5 weeks. For example, Agatha Christie's Toward Zero will run for 5 weekends, starting and from basically Thanksgiving.
And, yeah,
to
there
the
we
end of
have
the year.
the photo of Toward Zero. Agatha Christie being probably the most viewed playwright in history,
Yes.
and has a very prolific background, so that there are at least one a year, probably, Agatha Christie's. And your venue is always sold out for Agatha Christie.
Well, you know, we make a living on box office and individual contributions. So, you know, besides that, we do a pretty fabulous job of Agatha Christie just generally, and we have the talent to produce the goods that will, you know, prop up the actors.
Now, when you say we make a living,
Yeah.
the actors don't get paid.
No.
The board doesn't get paid.
Oh no.
Really, the a few permanent front office people obviously
Yes,
are
we have
paid.
a small
but,
staff.
But so we make a living to enable us to pay whatever, I don't know, you wouldn't call it rent, but to get the rights for a
Yes.
specific show.
Pay royalties for shows. Yeah.
And costuming.
Yep. Sets.
And set design.
Props.
And, right, props
Yeah.
and things like that.
Yes. Yes. Lights. All that.
And as a matter of fact, your rehearsal hall, which is directly above the actual theater itself, is the exact same size and dimensions. So
Yeah, the rehearsal hall is actually straight above the shop, and you can't really tell that until you're working in the shop and you hear them tap dancing upstairs, you know, over your head. And then the theater is sort of offset from that, but it is the same size. We have the floor of the theater mapped out on the rehearsal hall floor, so we have dimensions. You know, so if it's 4 steps, you know where you're going to end, you know, from going from the chair to the sofa.
So the actors are familiar
with the geography before they come down onto the stage.
Now, Agatha Christie's going to be there from November to the middle of December. And then, of course, we have the Christmas season.
Yes.
And then we go in January 2020 to Black Comedy. And what is that?
Well, it's a show that I have seen a long time ago, and I can't really remember how it goes anymore, but it's to do with a millionaire and patron of the arts, which we always approve of at Theater in the Round in general, and a bombastic father, which, you know, we do not approve of. So, so I really don't know. It's sort of a farce of slamming into hot radiators, sharp furniture. It's like, I don't know. You know, it takes place mostly during the dark, in the dark, except that the lights are on. So you have to sort of like get your mind to kind of go that way. You know, I don't know. I think it'll be kind of fun. I don't know anything about this particular show.
Actually, we saw a play recently that was done almost in the dark. Yeah, and it's very interesting.
Yes.
It's very challenging.
Yeah, you have to pay attention.
Yeah. Now, what is in February to March, Dog Logic?
Oh, I have no idea. It says here on our brochure, you can't help being charmed. So I'm fully prepared to be charmed by this. It's a quirky comedy. There's an ex-hippie who lives in a junk pile and talks to dead animals. I don't know.
Are we
you
going to
know.
have dogs?
I hope not. It's about a pet cemetery. So
Oh, okay.
so I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. It'll be a surprise.
Because we would like to bring our dog to
Oh
see
gosh,
the other dogs.
you know, yeah. Why don't you hold off on that for now?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, please do hold off. Yes,
That's,
resist.
And that runs until March. And then from March through April, certainly a title that everybody will recognize, Great Expectations.
Yeah.
And,
It should be pretty spectacularly wonderful, you know. And we do costume dramas very well, and we have lots of folks who like to be in shows like this because they don't come around very often.
and Dickens certainly is, again, like Agatha Christie, like
Everybody knows.
Shakespeare, you know, of the great names of theater. So you have lots of people who want to be the characters in the show. How do they get selected?
Auditions are open to the public, so we advertise them in usual places where auditions are advertised. And it is the choice of the director entirely who will play which parts and how auditions are run. So we have, as a rule, 2 nights of auditions and then another night of callbacks generally. You know, but the director decides.
And dozens of people show up to try out for these parts.
Yes, in the course of the 2 nights, yes.
People basically who have theater experience, mostly in some of the local theaters around, some who have experience in the larger theaters around, such as Park Square, things like that.
There are people who audition for us because they just moved to town. And it's you know, if you're a really terrific actor, you can be cast at Theater in the Round in your first role in the Metro, and that is a way to step into paid positions elsewhere.
Stepping stone.
Definitely, always have been. Yes, for actors and designers and directors, all and everybody. So, yep.
In April, from actually the end of April to mid-May, the show will be Prince, and this has nothing to do with the late singer,
it's with, you know,
songwriter, etc.
No.
And Prince is what? Is it a comedy or a drama?
This is a drama. It's essentially based on a true story of the William Ham kidnapping in 1933 St. Paul. So there are a couple of reporters who are approached by the daughter of the Minnesota beer tycoon, William Ham, and to investigate the kidnapping. So I don't know. I'm sure we have not done this show before at Theater in the Round, and I'm not sure if it's been done in town. So I'm looking forward to it. We always enjoy having
sounds very
local,
interesting.
Local interest. Yeah.
Obviously, someday our Prince will come.
I shouldn't be surprised.
Nobody said it was going to be easy.
No. It's a tough crowd here.
The end of May through June, well into June, you'll be putting it all together.
Yes, Stephen Sondheim review, musical review. So dinner party at the Manhattan Penthouse. You can make up the rest from there. You know,
Now,
30 songs.
Theater in the Round has, what you tell me, 249 seats?
Yep.
And limited space.
Yes.
How do you manage a Sondheim musical in that limited space?
Well, and
I know you've done it
we've
because
done
I've
'em.
seen musicals there and blown away by how you do manage them. But for the viewers, tell us how.
Well, this, you know, putting on anything, you know, you try to figure out where things could be. You know, so the director of a show works with the designer, the scene designer, the lighting designers, and all that sort of things. You can do a lot of things with lights, so you don't have to have a lot of furniture on stage, as it were. And then where do you put an orchestra in a theater that's that small? We don't have 6 places to put the band. So, and wherever you are where you're sitting next to the band, it's too loud or too soft. You can't hear them sing. I mean, it's tricky actually to put on a musical. But reviews like this work well for us because there's not such a lot of, you know, furniture, fixed pieces on the set, so you can do a lot of drawing the eye of the audience with lights. So, you know, and then we have unusually talented people who love to sing and, you know, do a little soft shoe. You know. So.
Now this season is ending with a Jeeves play.
Yes.
The famous Jeeves, and next season we're going to have another one. Jeeves has become a very popular show. Jeeves sells out.
He's a hot topic, yes.
And Jeeves at Sea, is this an adaptation of what she wrote, or is this pretty much as she wrote it?
Well, there's the stories are by P.G. Woodhouse, and there's an adapter, Margaret Rather, and she has adapted. This will be the fourth Jeeves show that she has adapted for the stage. So, and apparently she's at work on another one or two. So she's got sort of a lot of Jeeves stories up her sleeves, as it were. And we're only too happy to produce them.
And the late P.G. Wodehouse, which was a really fine and great comedic writer.
Oh, heavens, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
and as I said, somebody told me that the present one, which we are going to see next week, will knock our socks off.
I'm sure that it will. We find a lot of socks in the seats after the show is over.
Well,
so
would,
yes, that would
would
account. Yeah, you would account for it. Yes.
That would certainly. So let's tell people once again what they can do if they want to avail themselves of the best bargain in theater in the Twin Cities.
Well, you can call and make a reservation and get your season ticket at the box office when you come. You can can go online and order your season ticket that way, and then choose the seats that you'd like to have if you like to have a fixed seat for all the shows. You can call up the theater during the week and talk to Greg in the box office, and he will sort you out with the season ticket. You can buy them at the theater. I mean, we have unlimited ways of getting season tickets.
You can go to the website.
Yes. Yep.
Theater
and there we
and
are.
Around, and you have a good website which basically shows everything that we have talked about here.
Yes, and more. Yeah.
This afternoon. So that's it. And what have we not talked about that we should talk about?
Well, we, as it happens, like how many people come to our shows? Well, in this last year, we just sort of did a little research, and it seems that we have 18,000 people in our audience, more or less every year, which, no matter how you look at it, is a lot of people coming to see our shows. And if it wasn't for you and patrons like you and myself, in fact, actors would be just doing it for themselves. So that's people don't like that necessarily. So
no, they don't.
Yeah, and we have several hundred different people who work on our stages and on our productions every year. This last year, we had 232 people who had not worked here before involved with this season.
Talking about actors and
that's just on stage. That's just artistic people. So the actors, the director, the stage manager, the designers, that sort of folks. And then there are other people who do the front of house work. So that, there's ushers and house managers and box office and.
You have a large costume facility.
We have, yes, we have a pretty spectacular costume building room, and with all of the modern conveniences useful to someone who's building costumes. And then we have costume storage, which is another part of the building.
And anything else anybody wants to find out, they're going to have to go to Theater and Around or go to the website. And
wish you would.
I want to thank Fran Corcoran so much for coming in and sharing with us and sharing the upcoming season with us. I can tell you from personal experience, it's the best buy for your buck.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Fran.
Nice to see you.